Good morning, good evening, good night, everyone. Welcome back to Lana's Little Things with me, Dr. Lana, specialist gerontologist, talking all things on living agelessly, bridging generational gaps, family caregiving, being an entrepreneur, just life itself. And whether it is cooler or warmer where you are, welcome. It's getting a little bit cold here in Barbados, but cold is relative. I get cold easily. So we're going ahead in our November men's month, the month for all you gents. And it was so heartwarming to we had the discussion so far on prostate health. We heard from the pharmacist. We did a very spicy um, podcast interview on erectile dysfunction, which seems to generate a lot of interest. It's interesting that I found that remarkable because ED seemed to be a fairly big concern. So if any of you, just on the point of last time, are having any issues with erectile dysfunction, heart disease, any of those other illnesses, please seek help. So, what are we talking about today? Well, this is going to be another part one of a part of two-part series, and we're talking about another hush hush topic: mental health disease, mental health issues, anything at all. Hopefully, you'll be able to speak to a mental health. We're to be speaking to a mental health expert for part two, so look forward to that. Remember to like and subscribe this channel if you are, and tell a friend, not just a male friend, just tell a friend because we talk so many things here. But for you gents, tonight will be part one of mental, just an introduction to mental health, specifically in older adults. Yes, there's mental health issues in general, but tonight I'll focus on the older folk, on the older persons. So we'd had a little overview of what mental health concerns are. So anything that disrupts your functioning in terms of your memory, moods, ability to cope in society, feeling of helplessness, hopelessness, hallucinations, delusions. We won't go into the deeper psychiatric discussions, but we're just talking about those mental concerns that disrupt your daily life, whether it is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, whether it's early stages of dementia and it's causing you distress, whether it's depression from the loss of a spouse, all these, whether it's depression from loss of a limb or just loss, feeling a loss because you're getting older and feeling not as appreciated or as welcome or as relevant. All those come under the umbrella of mental health issues. And for older persons, the latter part that I talked about just now, that feeling discarded, feeling unhelpful, feeling unuseful, yes, is one of those bigger things. The issue is that you gents, males in general, don't speak to anyone. It's very much internalized, and yet some of them can become so severe. And that is why, sadly, there's an increase in suicides. Yes, we have to say that in older persons, in males in general, but it's also increasing in older males. In recent times, there's been a study in 2021 which showed that it hasn't been on the increase. And according to the CDC, men 50 plus and um, males 50 plus will receive mental health services significantly less. However, the suicide rate compared to women can actually be up to 80% of those persons who were, well, according to that study that was done. And it's up 3%, which is a lot if you consider, even if you consider that there might be 3 or 4 million billion men in the world, older person, enough, let's say 2 billion older persons, males, that's 3% is a lot of people. So we really got to talk about it. And that's up from 1990. And life has changed so much. So let's get into it, shall we? Um, the concerns, as we mentioned, can range from depression, dementia, attention activity, attention hyperactivity disorder, yes, or adult onset, or maybe something that was unresolved from teenagehood, or abuse as a child that you've never addressed. And that is also another serious issue that's cropping up where men are now seeking help and saying that this happened years before. We see it in the news all the time. And it's very, very sad because these are men who have lived their entire lives, you older gentlemen, raised their families, did the best they could. Maybe there was some other issues, but you never let it on that anyone can find out. And know it's as you've gotten older, it's become less easy to handle with. Why? To deal with. Why? Because a problem shared is a problem halved, and seeking help is a no-no generally when it comes to males, and that is where the problem mainly lies. So again, I'm pleading and I'm hopeful and I'm expecting that talking about it doesn't make it worse. Talking makes it better. So that after this, you'll feel a little bit better or at least a little more certain to speak to someone who can keep your situation in confidence, but also someone who can provide some assistance. Even if initially it's just a good friend who has a great listening ear. So, why do the 3 points we'll talk about tonight? Why do men not seek mental health help? What are the main driving factors in families that affect men, especially older males? And then, is there anything that can be done about it? We'll extend that more in the discussion next time with the mental health expert, but we can introduce the topic. Let's get the conversation started. So, discuss what is the issue, what happens with older males. Well, we discussed all the problems before that they've raised their families, they've had these conditions that they don't want to talk about. So, what actually happens then? The stigma of men don't get sick, men don't go to doctors. Definitely don't tell anybody that you're having a mental problem or you're sad. Men don't get sad. That's a woman thing, as we say in Barbados. So traditional ways, seeking help, the impression that if you seek help or if you talk about your problems, it's gonna make you less of a man. Those are the problems that doctors find, that mental health experts find, really stop men from getting help, from reaching out. Older males who reach out are few and far between, but they need it ever so much because as things change, you do need the help. Okay, so what happens? What are some signs and symptoms of a male who might be an older person older male who may actually have some mental health concerns? Well, withdrawal. Do they talk to their friends as before? In my setting in the Caribbean, men tend to meet each other at the beach and just talk about, I don't know what men talk about anything, about fishing, about life in general. But it gives them an outlet so that even when they get back home, it's, they can carry on their work and carry on the function in life. So, loss of the desire, and this has to be over a few weeks, 6 weeks or more, and it's progressive. The desire to associate and socialize, appetite loss, memory impairment, which you don't want to tell anyone about, feeling as though you're no longer useful, especially if you're retired and there was no plan for retirement or there's no one to share the retirement with. Loss of a spouse, that has been affecting so many men. They've been married or had a long time partner for 10, 20, 30 years. That person suddenly died. That person helped define your life. What happens now? But I'm not going to talk because I'm not supposed to feel sad. I'm supposed to tough it up and move on. I can say no, but it's easy for me to say no because I don't have the feelings. But we're just talking about it and trying to encourage the conversation to go to seek some sort of discussion. What else do men tend to do? They may tend to frequent other places. That's or they may in my setting they frequent the rum shops, which is what we say. Or they might become hyper religious, where they never went to church or any saw any religion before. They might do that. They may have unexplained anger, or just never at home, or oh, I just went for a drive. Very vague in their answers. How are you today, Dad? How are you today, Uncle? I'm fine. Anything happening? No, no, just the knees or the shoulders. Anything physical? Men tend to speak about mental. But no, no, hush, hush. Sounding sad, right? Yeah, it kind of is because all the males have so much to contribute. We have so many things that that females and all the females can't. Many of you are have been in jobs of labor, masonry, carpentry, construction, plumbing, things that we females that tend to ask you for. Fix the pipe for me, please. Or the toilet isn't working. Or the shower head doesn't seem to be good. Can you fix the tile or fix the floor? Men are generally into that. So they're the fixers. So therefore, when it comes to stuff, they can do that. That's no problem. And so you can have apprentices. Um, the mentors for someone else. There's so much that older persons can offer, but if you're feeling discarded and alone by society, well, then you're not going to want to be coming out and saying anything. But also, you'll be a place where younger persons, especially teenagers, can come and talk to because they don't want to talk to the doctor. Not going to want to talk to another a female doctor. No, So there is a role, but unfortunately, the stigma persists. So substance abuse, as I said, becomes one of those main things. Or they may do it either, as we say, closet and drink when no one's home, and then you seem they seem a little inebriated, but they're brushing it off as, oh, I just need a drink to calm my nerves, and that one drink turns into two, turns into three, or they may start to smoke or smoke more if they used to smoke. Any of those changes, something is wrong. That is what males would tend to do. And then, as it comes down into what is called the depths of despair, where there's definitely no feeling as though anyone can help you. My life is finished. There's nothing for me to do. I'm of really no use to anyone. Medications that might be easily available, as you said, alcohol, and then lesser so, in one study, 20% will use opioids, narcotics, morphine, codeine, those things that might be available. Normal market, black market, they'll seek it out. We also know that men tend to complete suicides more than women because they tend to use methods that are permanent, hanging, shooting, shooting themselves, hanging, jumping, overdosing, things that will work, shall we say. That we don't want that. We're in this world together and we need to just be there. Age in itself is a risk factor. As you get older, as I said, the feelings come up, things that have not been resolved from before, they get worse. Those who might have been changing their sexuality, the shame, the stigma, the discrimination, the feeling like I can't tell anyone this. We've noticed that has happened even more. Working, although in my setting, working in a blue collar job and is increasing, but the thought I don't have a white collar job, therefore I am no one. I'm less relevant. That makes it even worse. I'm in a minority. That makes it even worse. And there's no help for me, or there are no facilities, there are no resources, and there we get the abuse and then the end taking of one's life. It's really really cold. It can be a cold world out there. As we said, sounds really dark and dense. But what little ways, after identifying what little ways can we not reinforce the stigma and show support? just generally in community, long before you come to the doctor, long before if you're going to seek out any mental health expert, and definitely if you're going to seek one out, what would bring you there, or how can you help a friend or family member to seek help? The first word is listen. Listen to the unspoken word. Changes like that, changes in behavior, changes in social behavior, loss of a spouse, especially loss of not doing the typical activities. Hmm. Don't just bring it up like, are you feeling sad? Hardly tell you yes. So you can say, well, just casually, what's going on today? What's happening? Especially males. So not to talk to the females. I just have a best friend who's a female. Just talk to someone you trust. Or for those of you who are friends of someone who's changed, bring it up. Just say, well, you're not looking at yourself. Are you okay? You're in any pain? How's your pressure? How's your blood sugar? How's your general health? You start talking about the physical health, and eventually, as time goes on, you show the interest and you listen. You'll you'll see that there may be underlying issues, and sometimes it may take a few weeks, sometimes it may take a few months. But a true friend, it sticks like a brother. So I'm encouraging all true friends, all of us. Let us listen. Let us hear the unspoken word. And then eventually we can branch out into suggestions of looking for help. Anxiety is another concern that persons they just seem to be suddenly anxious where they weren't before, forgetful where they weren't before. It's not to say that dementia might not be setting in, but and yes, early onset can happen at 50. But we're not saying that every male who is depressed sad is going to have dementia. No. So just being an older male doesn't automatically give you anything. Aging is not a disease; it is a process. Again, if I say that a gazillion times. So let's reframe going to the doctor as a sign of strength. Talking to someone, talking to a friend, a sign of strength. You know, you are really, this is, you're really helping me, or you're really helping your community, or you're helping your sons, or you're helping your grandsons, or you're helping your mentors, or you're really a good example for showing us how it can be done. That helps more than you know. And personally, I've seen both sides of this, but those who have struggled alone, those who've actually sought help, those who felt unable to escape, as long as someone was really listening and they felt and it's reframed as a source of strength, it helps. It just helps. So, what good news is there? Yes, there's help. As I said, there are communities that can be set up, man sheds that can be set up. It doesn't have to be a big fancy thing. If you have a friend, or you're going to be, you were in, as you said, those jobs before, mechanics, mason, carpentry, just set up a man shed. No women allowed. No women. Doctors are nothing. And you just spend your Saturdays or your Fridays or your Sundays, and you come and do what you love the most, brings that sense of community back. And most will join into something that is meant only. And from there, then the talk can come. Well, maybe you should have somebody come and talk. You know, it's a sign of strength. All hope is not lost. You're not old and it's gonna end. No, life is just beginning. You don't have the children to think about. You don't have this to do. You don't have these responsibilities. Live. It's not lost. You may have lost some of your health. You haven't lost it all. There's still things that can be done. We need you. We need you in our lives. Dad, we need you. Uncle, we need you. Tell your friend, we need you. We all need to feel valid in some way. Feeling invalid is one of the worst feelings for any human being. So, what are we saying? Gents, I see you, I hear you. What you say matters. Friends, seek help, form communities, gently listen, progressively listen, and then over time, then maybe the discussion can come to, maybe this is happening more than you can manage, or let's see if there's another person that can form, give us some advice or give us some suggestions on this. If it is in a family group and you have a tight knit family, come to the table and talk about it. You may get resistance initially, but I assure you, anyone that knows that they're being listened to, heard, validated, that they still matter, is going is going to make the difference. It's going to follow through. So I encourage you, all the gents, please follow through. From my heart to yours, we'll talk some more about it. We'll talk some more ramifications of mental health issues next time. But for now, Dr. Nana signing out saying, you matter, we hear you, we need you. Have a good day, good night, good morning, wherever you are. Mwah.